All right, so here's a short little project. I went and got this PTO off eBay, mostly because it looked good and it was cheap enough price that I can play with it a little bit. So this is a 318 PTO, front PTO attaches to the engine. This would also serve for a 322 or 332 or 316 Onan powered unit. So you've got, as I've gone over in the PTO videos in the past, you have your main, we'll just call this the clutch itself. You have your clutch plate, and then you have your coil. Coil in this case is pretty nice. It's got a couple little scars right here as shown, but that's okay. I've gone ahead and tested it out. Sucks up magnets sucks up metal tools just fine, just like we would expect. I have cleaned it up a little bit since I bought it. I've cleaned up the clutch disc and everything, and all looks pretty good. But one problem with this unit, that is, if you take, and you probably can't hear it, but this bearing right here is really crunchy. Just when you rotate it around in there, I guarantee you if you installed this on a tractor, it would not sound all that great. It just kind of has that kind of hitch in its get up per se. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace that bearing. Now, this bearing, it is an Nichi bearing. NACHI, if you can see that right there. It is a 6009 NSL bearing. You can look that up online, and chances are you aren't going to save much money by going through a third-party supplier. I went to the auto parts store this weekend. They said, well, we can get the bearing for you in 3 to 4 days, and it'll be, I want to say they said like $34, and they thought it was going to be correct, because they had to source it from a different supplier, so it had a little bit different number. But clearly, I ordered mine from Deere. I think mine from Deere is right at $36, so I'm not saving all that much, or I'm not spending extra money to go to Deere per se. Plus, it gives me a reason to go to Deere. But what you have to do to replace this bearing is we're going to have to take the snap ring out there. Then you can drive this entire bearing and then inner race assembly. I'll call it an inner race, inner hub, whatever you want to call it. You can drive this out with just a rubber mallet. And then after you do that, you have to press this hub out, or this ring. I don't know what you want to call it. There's probably some fancy term for it. But we're going to press that out. So let me get set up and get the snap ring out, and we'll get the bearing assembly out, and then we'll press off the ring, and we'll go from there. All right, so all you need is a pair of snap ring pliers. Just like that. Now, I probably should have changed the tips on these snap ring pliers to prevent that snap right there at the end. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take, and we're going to, so I don't lose my springs, I'm going to put my nuts on here. We are going to replace those nuts at the end of this series with some nice fresh ones. I'm going to move this, put it off to the side. All right, so now what we have to do is we have to drive this bearing out. It has to come out this way. And the easiest way to do that is I typically just start in the back with a rubber mallet. Just like that. And what I'm going to do is, you can see it's already kind of pushed out. I thought I had my, oh, there it is. I was going to do this on a different table. Now, one thing that you can do, I know why I was going to do it on a different table. I just keep some of these boards around, because you're going to have to support all of this like so. Now, this does not take a lot of force. And you know, if you notice, I'm using a rubber mallet, not a steel mallet or a steel hammer. This just doesn't take that much force, like that. So you can see I never had to hit it really hard or anything. But this is our end result, which is the bearing on the outside and then our hub on the inside. So now what we're going to do, this this hub right here has to be pressed out or down and out. It cannot be pressed through, mostly because there is this retaining lip right here. So it has to be pressed out backwards. So let me go get set up at the press. I don't think this is one of those jobs that you could do with a hammer. I would probably recommend a press for this, just because I don't think that, particularly if you're putting in a new bearing, I don't think that it would be advantageous to try to hammer this hub into this bearing. So let me go get set up in the press and we'll go from there. All right, so we're all set up in the press. What I've got is I've just got an old crappy socket in here. We're going to use that because this doesn't require a lot of force. And we're just going to press this bad boy right out of there. So got the press all set up. It should take less than, probably, when I did it the last time to practice this, it took less than 1 ton of force to actually push this out of there. So here we go. There you go. It didn't even register on the force meter, but that is our hub out of our bearing. Overall hub looks pretty good. I'll get it over in the light and we'll check it out some more. All right, so here's our hub. We're calling it a hub. Deere probably has some fancy name for it. It overall looks pretty good, if you can see that. I'll get it cleaned up a little bit and see if there's any, doesn't look like there's any problems with it, at least not from my end. And then here's the bearing itself. Yep, sounds kind of crunchy. Yep. And there is the number. See if I can get it in there. See if it'll focus. (6009) NSL, and it is a Nachi bearing. Nachi, N-A-C-H-I. So if you find a good source for these, that's great. Cheaper source. I can find them online for like $24, but then they want like $12 shipping. Meanwhile, I can get it delivered to the Deere dealer pretty well. It's free. Just the price of the bearing itself. So bearing should be in a couple days, and we'll come in here. I'll finish cleaning all this up like I've done the rest of the PTO, and we will go from there. It should be a nice little PTO clutch when we're done. This will be a 2-part series, mostly because I don't have a lot of time to do videos right now. So my videos for the next probably month or so are going to be relatively short, to the point. Some announcements, things like that, which I'll go ahead and actually put 2 videos out covering some of those, 2 videos out today. So thanks for watching.